Hi everyone, I hope you're excited because we're going to be talking about Nintendo today. I just want to preface though before I say anything, this video is meant to be constructive criticism. It is not a hate campaign against Nintendo. So, let's all try and remain civil. So where do I even start with Nintendo? I made a video a few months ago about why I wasn't getting a Switch 2 at launch, and I still stand by everything I said in that video. But I wanted to make this video because at the time, I didn't have a good opinion of Nintendo as a company anyway, but it has gotten worse since then. And Nintendo aren't improving like I suppose I was kind of hoping that they might improve a bit. I didn't realistically think they would, but I was hoping that they would, but So I just have a few things I need to get off my chest regarding Nintendo. As you know, this is an industry-wide issue, but the prices of games are going up and the prices of hardware have been going up as well. The prices of everything, like all prices are going up. This is not just in the gaming industry. This console generation especially, everything is more expensive, be it new games. Obviously Mario Kart World came out at $80, which is the first $80 game. And not only that, but Nintendo are also increasing the prices of old games that they already released and are now re-releasing for either the Switch 2 or the Switch. The latest example of that is Super Mario Galaxy and Super Mario Galaxy 2 being re-released for the Switch as a bundle, which is $70 for both games, but if you wanted to get one of the two games separately, that would be $40. This is something that people have been talking about in general, about remakes and remasters and ports and things like that, but a lot of them are being re-released either at the price that they were originally or more expensive. So this isn't just a Nintendo issue, again, but Nintendo have been going about it the worst probably because they're re-releasing Super Mario Galaxy and Galaxy 2 as just ports. Those are Wii games we're talking about here. And then there's this whole conundrum with the Switch 2 edition games, which are, for example, Zelda Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, Mario Party Jamboree, Kirby. The Switch 2 editions, they're basically just re-releases of the game, but more expensive. So if you want to buy this game for the Switch 2 with the enhanced graphics and the better frame rates, you have to pay more money. And it feels really scummy for them to do that because, you've already bought a new console which has improved hardware, but in order to access the benefits of the better hardware, you need to buy an upgrade pack for these older games, which is, that's one of the things that bothers me the most. That and the welcome tour thing. The welcome tour, I already spoke about that, I think, in my initial Switch 2 Direct kind of reaction video I did, but the welcome tour not being a free pack-in is ridiculous to me because, and I am going to compare Nintendo to its competitors, okay? They have competitors in the same market as them, like PlayStation. Astro's Playroom on the PS5 is a free pack-in. You don't have to pay for it. And granted, I haven't played the Welcome Tour, but it definitely seems to me like Astro's Playroom is a much better kind of like demo-y type game than Welcome Tour is. So that just makes Nintendo look bad in general because they're charging money for a game, for a demo game that isn't as good as the free one on PS5. And even if it was better, the fact that they're charging for it in the first place is silly. We remember Wii Sports was a free pack-in for the Wii. Back to the upgrade packs. Again, PlayStation, I'm sorry to bring up PlayStation again. I don't know about Xbox, but I haven't heard anyone complain about Xbox upgrades for games. The thing with PlayStation is when the PS5 came out, it took a while for them to kind of get the ball rolling on this, but they gave loads of PS4 games PS5 upgrades. So you could download an upgrade pack and it was free in the vast majority of cases. I mean, there might be some that are paid. I haven't come across any yet, personally. They're pretty much all free. It's so Nintendo deciding, you know what, we're going to make people pay for them. And it seems to me like their way of trying to justify you paying for these upgrade packs is by them adding some sort of new content in there that, from what I've seen, a lot of Nintendo fans don't seem to be of the opinion that the extra content is worth paying for at all, really, or that it justifies the price that they're trying to make you pay for these upgrade packs. But just in general, people should be able to access upgraded frame rates and upgraded graphics for free with the new hardware, because that's the purpose of the new hardware, is to have better frame rates and better performance for their games and, you know, upgraded graphics potentially as well. That's pretty messed up on Nintendo's part. I know this is all old news, but, you know, I kind of wanted to reiterate that. Going back to the latest Direct as well, $50 amiibos. That's a choice. That's, there's some games that cost $50. You know what game costs $50? Expedition 33 costs $50. And you want me to buy a Kirby amiibo for $50? I don't think so, Nintendo. I'm not paying that much for a Kirby amiibo. So yes, they're continuing the trend of everything being more expensive, unsurprisingly. You know, I don't think we're shocked about this. I'm not surprised, just disappointed. You know, Nintendo have said they're doing this thing called variable pricing or whatever, which is basically just an excuse for them to price things higher if they think they can get more money out of you. That's what it is. Like, that's why Mario Kart World is $80. It's not because they think that game's better than Donkey Kong Bonanza, because from reviews, it seems that Donkey Kong Bonanza is a better game, but anyway. They just know that people will pay $80 for Mario Kart World because it's Mario Kart. Based on how popular the IP is, they know what they can charge. It's like why Kirby Air Riders isn't $80. It's because they know that people aren't going to pay $80 for a Kirby game. This is kind of just how corporations work in general. Corporations, especially over the last 10 years, this isn't just a Nintendo thing, but I've noticed this trend of corporations just charging more and more for everything, partly because of inflation, partly because of the friggin' tariff stuff going on. Those are obviously going to affect the price of things, but also corporations are just going to test the limits of people's spending anyway. They're going to try it. If they think they can get away with charging more, they will, because corporations, all they care about is money. They want more money. That's what they want. They want more profits, more money. That's how corporations work. And the only way we can stop that from happening is if we refuse to buy things at the price they're trying to make us pay for things. And then there's the other big thing. So this is something that I wasn't as aware of regarding Nintendo. I'd heard that they were like suing people and companies over various silly things, but I hadn't looked into it necessarily until a few months ago. So Nintendo suing other companies and being obsessed with defending the copyright of their games and all that sort of thing is nothing new. They've been doing this for a long time, and it also doesn't surprise me because they are a Japanese company, and I do know that Japan has much, much stricter laws and views on like copyright and stuff. You know, at one point, Nintendo had a YouTube Nintendo partnership thing where if you wanted to earn money on YouTube by making videos about Nintendo products and Nintendo IPs, you needed to be part of the Nintendo partnership thing that they had on YouTube. That's not the case anymore. But Nintendo are still definitely the company that you have to watch out the most for, even like as a content creator on YouTube. Now, the thing is, although Nintendo's suing people and companies is nothing new, they seem to be kind of amping it up a bit more and getting worse. Or maybe it's just because there's more coverage on this sort of thing now than there used to be, which just makes it seem that way. But, you know, the whole Power World situation where they now have patents. Yes, I said patent. That's how we pronounce it in the UK. They have patents for very basic gameplay mechanics, such as gliding along a plane or something on a mount, and then another very basic game mechanic, which is summoning a monster or summoning a creature, or however you want to put it. Which summoning has been a basic gameplay mechanic for ages, and Nintendo didn't invent that, so they have no right to patent these things. But they're doing so because they want so badly to close down this Power World game that they feel threatened by, I guess. Instead of taking inspiration from Power World or something to maybe improve their Pokemon games, they've decided, no, we're going to sue them. We don't want any competition. We're going to shut down the competition. We're going to sue them. And we're going to patent very basic gameplay mechanics in order to do so, which is just so, it's basically corporate bullying, and it's quite pathetic, dare I say. Just make better games. The thing with Pokemon games is, although I haven't played them, I do look at the more recent ones and question the quality of them. Even just like visually looking at them, and I've heard about how buggy Scarlet and Violet were and how a lot of recent Pokemon games tend to be quite buggy. I know that it's Game Freak that makes the Pokemon games, but it's Nintendo that's suing. So, you know, instead of suing, maybe Nintendo should have a word with Game Freak and say, maybe you should step up your game a bit. No, that's not what's happening. They've decided to crush the competition instead. Okay, sorry, going back to the Direct again, another thing, because I was talking about Pokemon, I remembered this, but they literally decided, whether it was Game Freak or Nintendo, I don't know. They decided that they would announce the DLC for the new Pokemon game, Pokemon Z to A or Z to A, before it even released. So the game hasn't released yet, and they've decided to announce the DLC for it. They could have just included that DLC into the game at that point. Why? What is the point of that? They could have at least made themselves look better. If they weren't going to include that in the game at release, then they could have at least just kept quiet about it until the game released, and then like 1 or 2 months after the game was out, then announced the DLC. They wouldn't have looked as bad, because them announcing it now is really comes across really cocky. It's like, we know you're going to buy the DLC. It's Pokemon. And going back to their prices increasing, okay, I want to preface, I know that prices are going up across the entire industry. And I don't want to like defend PlayStation or Xbox, because I'm not like a PlayStation or Xbox fangirl or something. But the difference between how they approach it versus Nintendo is PlayStation have increased prices of their PS5 hardware, Xbox increased prices of their current hardware as well, whereas Nintendo decides to increase the price of their old hardware. And I get you could argue, well, they just launched the Switch 2, and if they increased the price this quickly after launch, it would look bad. Yes, but here's the thing. When they announced it, or like the months following the announcement, they already knew about this whole tariff situation. So if it's the tariff thing that's caused the increase of price for the OG Switch, why is it that they didn't price the Switch 2 higher already when they announced it, or soon following the announcement, just announced a price increase? Yes, it would have looked bad, I know, but it looks worse if you increase the price of your old product. The head of your company literally said publicly, if you can't afford a Switch 2, we have a product for you, it's the Switch. And then they put the price of the Switch up. This is what I mean. It feels like they're not really thinking things through sometimes when they're doing things. I'm sure that they are thinking things through, but they're saying, yes, we have an affordable option for you, it's the Switch. Oh, but we're going to put the price of the Switch up, so maybe it's not that affordable actually. The Switch OLED is now only $50 cheaper than the Switch 2. And it's a console. Now, yeah, the Switch OLED didn't release in 2017, but the technology inside the Switch OLED is from 2017. You know, the base Switch, Switch Lite, it's all technology from 2017 that is definitely, without a doubt, cheaper to manufacture now. And they could have done a price drop, but no, the price goes up. And PlayStation and Xbox could have done price drops on their current hardware probably, but they're using tariffs kind of as an excuse to increase prices. You know, I don't like it, but it's still not as scummy as Nintendo putting up the prices for hardware from 2017. What are we doing? What is going on? Listen, I have to laugh about it because it's kind of like, what? I don't even know what else to say about it, to be honest with you. And I would also like to preface, because this is something that people forget. The reason why people are quicker to criticize Nintendo for increasing the prices of their games and stuff like that is because Nintendo games never go on sale. I don't like the fact that prices across the industry are going up, but PlayStation games and games from Xbox and games from pretty much all developers and publishers go on sale and reduce in price a few months after their release. And then a few years after their release, they are a lot cheaper generally. But Nintendo games never decrease in price. Mario Kart World will remain $80 for the whole Switch 2 lifespan. So that is why people are more critical of it. They know if the game is $80, that means the game is and will always be $80. And then when the Switch 3 comes out, it might be $90. But here's the thing. I said Nintendo don't drop their prices, but that isn't actually true because they have dropped their prices in the past with the 3DS. The 3DS wasn't doing too well sales-wise, so they dropped the price. And same with the Wii U, and same with like Sony and the PS3. If a console isn't selling well, they will drop the price. So what I'm saying is, although it might seem like this is just a losing battle with Nintendo and there's nothing we can do, there is something that we can do personally. Don't pay the prices that they're asking you to pay. Don't pay $80 for Mario Kart. Don't pay $70 for Super Mario Galaxy and Super Mario Galaxy 2. And I'm not necessarily saying don't ever buy a Switch 2 or don't ever buy these Nintendo games. You can buy these things secondhand. That's probably what I'm going to end up doing. If Nintendo doesn't drop the price on their games or, you know, start acting in a way that's less anti-consumer, then I'm not going to buy a Switch 2 from them. I will probably buy one off of the secondhand market. Same with their games. I don't really feel like giving Nintendo any of my money at the moment, so I'll probably buy Nintendo first-party games for the foreseeable future off of eBay, because then my money's not going to Nintendo. And here's the thing, I don't have anything against people that have bought a Switch 2. If you've bought a Switch 2 and you enjoy your Switch 2, I'm happy for you, that's great. I think you should do whatever you want with your money, but all I can say is vote with your wallet. Consider what it is that you want to support with your money, whether you agree with these practices, whether you agree with the prices, and whether you want to give money to these massive corporations that do not care about you, they don't care about me, they don't care about any of us. They just want money. That's all I have to say in this video. I might make a video about the gaming industry as a whole. But anyway, thanks for watching and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.